We anticipate in the next 10 to 12 years, approximately 86 million Hispanics coming into the United States and 41 million Asians. You have been the majority minority for 400 years in this country. You have been the number 2 population for 400 years. You're going to get kicked out of being number 2. You're going to go down and become number 4. Now, common sense, in a third grade education will tell you, if you didn't get anything when you were number 2, you all jumped ahead of me, but anyway, you can guess what you're going to get when you become number 4.
President Biden, do you support reparations?
Well, let me, since I haven't spoken on this, get a chance. Number one, the reason we're the country we are is because of immigration. We've been able to cherry pick the best from every single continent. The people who come here have determination, resilience. They are ready to stand up and work like the devil. We have 24 out of 100 children in our school today is Hispanic. The idea that we are going to walk away and not provide every opportunity for them is that not only stupid and immoral, but it's bad for America. They are the future of America.
Systemic racism that has plagued our nation for far, far too long. I said that over the course of the past year that the blinders have been taken off the nation, the American people. But what many Americans didn't see or had simply refused to see couldn't be ignored any longer. Those 8 minutes and 46 seconds that took George Floyd's life opened the eyes of millions of Americans and millions of people around all over the world. It was the knee on the neck of justice, and it wouldn't be forgotten. And it's not white Americans' fault, but just a fact.
At the very same time that America refused to give the Negro any land, through an act of Congress, our government was giving away millions of acres of land in the West and the Midwest, which meant that it was willing to undergird its white peasants from Europe with an economic floor. But not only did they give the land, they built land-grant colleges with government money to teach them how to farm. Not only that, they provided county agents to further their expertise in farming. Not only that, they provided low interest rates in order that they could mechanize their farms. Not only that, today, many of these people are receiving millions of dollars in federal subsidies not to farm, and they are the very people telling the black man that he ought to lift himself by his own bootstraps. And this is what we are faced with. And this is the reality. Now, when we come to Washington, in this campaign, we are coming to get our check.
We are owed $104 trillion on the very low end, plus $735 billion recurring. This number does not include the cost of about 50 Black Wall Streets that were decimated, nor compound interest from 2017 when Sean D. Rochester's book, The Black Tax, was published, nor the cost of Black life, nor the cost of living increases, nor the war on drugs, nor the current day pandemic. The number I'm working with is for slavery, Jim Crow, and accrued ongoing systemic racism, oppression, and disadvantage in the country our ancestors built with their lives. If you believe in this number as I do and would like to join me in the fight for reparations, please email me at friendsofadostv@gmail.com. That's friendsofadostv@gmail.com.
Good afternoon on the West Coast. Good afternoon in the mountain. Good afternoon in the central. Good afternoon on the East Coast. You know exactly who it is, family. Angela Nirvana, your hostess with the mostest on the reparationist perspective, bringing you those Adocs, hot topics, your midday wake up call. Weaponizing casting our vote, demanding reparations in the trillions. I'm making the case, family, over multi-generations. That's what I do over here at the Reparationist Perspective. Follow in, follow in, follow in. Good afternoon, Trey Lincoln. I see you, Brian Johnson. And Dr. Brar is in the building. Welcome, welcome, one and all. And for those of you on the Clubhouse, over on Twitter, over on Facebook, YouTube, thank you so very much for joining the live for your midday wake up call, family. Let's get into it. All right, I got 1 hour, family. And as usual, I was born to talk. So let's jump right into it. This amazing picture that you're seeing right here. Uh-oh, hold on. YouTube still wants to keep going. All right, guys. You know I wear all the hats. So let's get into it. I want to talk about how LA County, the picture there you see, are our American descendants of chattel slavery, whose beach was taken from them here in Southern California by eminent domain. This show is to share with you, to educate the masses on how dire a state American descendants of chattel slavery is in this country, with an over $100 trillion egregious racial wealth gap. And it's designed to show you how we got there, with the intent to move as a block in our demand for reparations and a Black agenda. As we see the Biden administration, who 87% of our electorate delivered the vote, is totally ignoring the fact that we are the anchor of this country's capitalism. So this show, like I said, I'll be pulling together things that pique my interest to always make the case for reparations. Okay? So this beautiful family you see here are some of the beautiful Adocs that would luxuriate on the beaches out here. We own the beaches out here during Jim Crow because, hey, they wouldn't allow us on the beaches. So we had to do our own thing and create our own. And so what did they do? They came through and by eminent domain took our beaches. So now, because of that Adocs reparation, Family, I'm glad y'all still here. You know, you pay the biggest prices for this stuff, and then all of a sudden, it doesn't work. Forgive me for that. I'm not sure what you heard, so I'm going to back it all the way back up, okay? I don't know. Sometimes we get these little power surges out here because it looked like my light went out too. Yeah, so anywho, we're back. Moving on. Sorry about that. So I was in the middle of explaining how many of us don't understand that slavery was everywhere. And if you were caught out here as trying to have escaped slavery, hi, American descendants of slavery, love you, black and strong. If you were found out here and you had escaped, they would turn you in what they call a free state. Don't believe the hype. If we had no case, they would not have signed off on AB 3121 to study the reparations for the Californians out here. Okay? This is real stuff, y'all. So now, LA County Supervisor Janice Hahn's reaction last year when she first heard the history of Bruce's Beach, I'm backing up because I don't know where I lost video, in which a black-owned resort was taken by force from a family by the city of Manhattan Beach in 1924 after suffering a decade of violence-tinged harassment from the KKK and other local white supremacists, who we have yet to get from Biden-Harris an executive order for an anti-lynch law. Our 400-year Holocaust in this country is being co-opted by the narrative of anti-Asian racist sentiment, where white supremacy doesn't go nowhere unless you stop anti-black racism, okay? But we can't get an anti-lynch law. We can't get the KKK, the neo-Nazis, the skinheads to be labeled domestic terrorist groups in the same way that people like me are labeled black identity extremists, because I fight for reparations and a black agenda for my people. Like all the other groups have permission to fight. But let me or the reparationist movement fight for social and economic justice, then we're labeled, the FBI has come up with a label for us, black identity extremists. Look it up. But we can't get domestic terrorism for the KKK, the skinheads, and the neo-Nazis that are still decimating us. February 2016, FBI report said since 2006, they've monitored the activity of all the police forces throughout the country. The KKK, neo-Nazis, and the skinheads have infiltrated the police force, who hires them because they don't want to violate their First Amendment rights. Moving on. Quote, I was embarrassed that I, who grew up in Los Angeles County, did not ever hear or learn of Bruce's Beach in Manhattan Beach, said Hahn, who grew up going to the beach and learned to swim in the ocean just a few blocks from Bruce's Beach. Hahn thought she knew something of the history of race in the U.S., and particularly L.A. County. Her father was Kenneth Hahn, the famed L.A. County supervisor who for 4 decades held the same seat his daughter currently holds, and who in 1961 was one of the first elected officials in the country to publicly embrace Dr. Martin Luther King. She also had served in Congress alongside legendary civil rights leader John Lewis and accompanied him on a pilgrimage to such historically resonant locations as Selma, Montgomery, and Birmingham. And experience that Hahn said opened her eyes more viscerally to the African-American Adocs experience of race in the South. I remember coming home from that trip sort of feeling like, gosh, that was unbelievable what happened in the South. We did not experience that in Southern California. Oh, but we did. I don't remember drinking fountains that were labeled white and colored. We didn't, listen, that's not the only thing that distinguishes white inferior, oppressive legislation and, race soldiers coming for you in all forms, from all directions. Just because we didn't have fountains out here that were labeled that doesn't mean our people, our ancestors didn't endure heinous acts of violence against them, even being returned to their masters if they were caught having been runaways. Okay, I don't remember specifically being segregated in where I went to school or went to church, Hans said. So somehow I thought we didn't have that racist past in Los Angeles. And sure enough, we did. And Bruce's Beach is one story. There are so many others that are now coming to light. So my first feeling was embarrassment that I did not know this story. Let's talk about the other ones. Bruce's Beach. A look back at California's long-lost black beaches and vacation spots. It was the summer of 1925, and the Lakeshore Beach Club on Lake Elsinore in Riverside County was alive with the buzz of happy vacationers. Everyone would hang out at the lake for picnics, swimming, and some boating. It was like paradise to go out on the lake, California native Milton Anderson recalled. At night, guests would have supper at the dining pavilion and would dance to the sound of live bands. After a full day of summer fun, guests would sleep in wood-frame tents or cabins before their journey back to LA in communal shuttles. Once home, these Black Californians were far from paradise, facing the daily injustices of life in Jim Crow-era America. Historian Allison Rose Jefferson authored the fascinating new book, Living the California Dream, African-American Leisure Sites During the Jim Crow Era, has a personal connection to the Black resort communities that thrived on Lake Elsinore for decades. Quote, my mother's family used to go there when she was growing up, and I heard stories, she says. They would go there for a few weeks in the summer, and they bought a couple of lots there, but they never built anything on it. Jefferson would go to Lake Elsinore only one time with her extended family, but this memorable trip and the recollections of her elders would set her on a years-long journey of research and discovery. In Living the California Dream, she documents the history of a long-overlooked network of African-American leisure and recreation sites that flourished in Southern California from the 1910s to the 1950s. Along the way, she uncovered stories of courage, community, and camaraderie in the California sun. For courage, look no further than Willa Bruce, who in 1912 bought oceanfront property between 26th and 27th Streets in the small village of Manhattan Beach. There she and her husband opened what came to be known as Bruce's Beach, a resort which would eventually include a snack stand, a bathhouse, and a dance floor. Quote, Mrs. Bruce was amazing, Jefferson says. She bought that property down here in Manhattan Beach, and that was a long way then because you were still in the early days of the car. To get down there, you would have been initially going to public transportation, the streetcar, the train, or by horse and wagon. And she was determined to have this place. And she was harassed from day one after white people realized that she had bought the land. Within the first week of them opening, there was a story in the LA Times about this little Black resort in Manhattan Beach. And she said in the article that she knew her rights and that she was not going to be deterred from continuing to have her business. The Bruce's business flourished and other Black families built vacation homes in the area. However, harassment, which included mysterious fires, ticketing swimmers, and roping off the beach, intensified through the 1920s. In 1927, the city of Manhattan took control of the land to build a public playground, and Bruce's Beach was no more. To Jefferson, this story perfectly illustrates that Black Californians were fighting for more than the right to have a good time. African Americans were all over the place in terms of California. They were pursuing everything that everybody else was pursuing within the confines of the barrage of racial oppression that they sometimes would be experiencing because of the times, Jefferson says. They were developing various business practices around leisure, just like everybody else was. They were trying to enjoy these experiences as well in those different picturesque areas and trying to have self-fulfillment and better opportunities for themselves. And these were also ways of fighting for freedom in terms of the struggle during this time period. Leisure was not an add-on in terms of civil rights. It was an essential component of civil rights and liberty. Oh, Lord, he's gorgeous. And so is she beautiful. I'm going to show y'all some pictures after I read it, okay? With the increasing enforcement of civil rights laws in the 50s and 60s, Black-owned leisure sites would virtually disappear as African Americans had an increasing number of options and Black-owned businesses could not expand their base. They couldn't get the broader business in terms of the full range of society, Jefferson says. So there was this economic detour right as that occurred. One of these forgotten areas was in the neighborhood of Ocean Park in Santa Monica, particularly around the Civic Center, which featured a popular stretch of beach called the Inkwell. For Jefferson, this is a spot she wishes she could have visited in its heyday. Oh, the beach. I love going to the beach, she laughs. I'm a Californian. And it's easy to love the beach, family. Let me help you understand. Let me help you understand. For those people who want to sit up here and continue in these white oppressive tropes, talking about how lazy, shiftless, and no count the Adocs are, let me help you understand. We grew from 4 million post-emancipation to over 40 million because we pulled ourselves up by our bootless straps. And they owe this reparations in the trillions over multi-generations, and they're trying to fix it. Let me show you the pictures before I move on to who they've chosen to sink $2.1 billion into the illegal immigrants. But let's look at the pictures and luxuriate over how beautiful things were when we were doing the most down here. Now we're down from 16 to 5%, and we're $200 liquid since the 2004 to 2014 Color of Wealth LA report was issued. 200 liquid to African immigrants, 60,000 liquid to Asian, Indian, Kamala's people, 465,000 liquid. And you heard it from me, okay? So let me share these pictures before I move on to tell you who they are pouring money into. Showing Adocs. Let me show you the pictures. Pictures make me happy. You should revel and delight in them too. Just a second, fam. I gotta find the article now. Oh, Lord. Here we go. Stand by. Okay, let me make sure you can see them more than you can see me. I'm gonna just disappear for a second, but I'm still here, y'all. Hold on. Where we at? Okay, where's my blue box? There it is. Okay. So let's scroll up and see these gorgeous, beautiful people. Here we are. All different hues. So this friends posed together on Lake Elsinore in 1946. Boat races on Lake Elsinore in 37. Mrs. Willa Bruce on the left. Look at her. Adocs proud, baby. That melanin popping. What? That woman owned Manhattan Beach before they took it from her. Her and her husband. Yes, I'm here for it, family. That's Mrs. Willa Bruce with her daughter-in-law and sister on Bruce's Beach in the 1920s. Can y'all see that? Can y'all see that? That's what's up. That's what's up right there. Oh, my God. It's just rich. Hold on. Let's keep scrolling so I can get on because I got a few more minutes here. I got about 35 minutes. Look at these beauties. Now, this is pageant winners Florence LaRue and Bradley Polk at Val Verde Park in 1965. Lord, they're beautiful. Look at them, y'all. Do you see them? Adocs proud, baby. What? Okay, so that's it of that article. So I want to finish reading, before I jump into my other article, I want to finish reading about LA trying to fix this because, we got to constantly keep pressure on how it's fixed. Everybody wants to go about doing cashless reparations, you see. So they're just playing with it unless they intend to give us each about 1.5 million apiece. You just playing with it. When you want to give programs with the left and take away with the right to give to white folks, immigrants, and LGBTQIA. Yeah, we see you. And that's why the reparationist perspective was born through me. So I could use my mouth to tell y'all all about it. So anyway, back to where the woman was mortified. Miss Hahn was mortified that this was going on. I remember coming home from a trip. So somehow I thought we didn't have that racist past in LA, and sure enough we did. And Bruce's Beach is one story. There are so many others that are now coming to light. So my first feeling was embarrassment that I did not know this story. After Black Lives Matter activists protested at Bruce's Beach last summer, Hahn finally learned about Willa and Charles Bruce and how they and other Black families were compelled to leave their oceanside properties after the city utilized the legal process of eminent domain to wrest the land away from them. Hahn began doing her own research. When I finally saw the parcel map where the actual resort had been, I thought, oh my gosh, that's the property that LA County owns, where we now have our lifeguard administration building, Hahn recalled. Let's talk about the median home price in Manhattan Beach that they stole from us. Let's talk about it. We always got to get that data, baby. You let me know if Adocs, who's $200 liquid down here per the Color of Wealth LA, it's bound to be worse than that by now. We've gone from 16 to 5%. So you tell me if the median home price and being 200 liquid would enable Adocs to ever own this property that was stolen from us by eminent domain and the white inferiors. Hold on, let me look it up. Okay. The Manhattan Beach median home price is, this is only through year end 2018, $2,400,000. I did not stutter. $2,400,000, $2.4 million stolen by eminent domain from Adocs. Oh yeah. She then had her staff further research the history of the land. The city of Manhattan Beach, it turned out, had given the land to the state in 48, and then the state gave it to the county in 95. It really mattered to me, Hahn said. I thought, you know what? LA County could, in fact, help right a wrong that happened 100 years ago. I was compelled at that moment to do what I thought was the right thing. This was not just an injustice to Charles and Willa Bruce. This was an injustice to generations who most certainly would have been wealthy. County legal advisors told Hahn that 3 options were available. One would simply be to return the land to the Bruce family. Another would be to transfer ownership of the land back to the Bruces and then establish a ground lease in which LA County pays rent to the family and keep the lifeguard headquarters. The third option would be to determine the value of the property. Estimates range from $40 million to $70 million and pay the Bruces. I say pay the Bruces. Pay the Bruces. them bring in their own appraisers and pay the Bruces. As she considered the options, the first call Han made was to the last remaining first descendant of Willa and Charles Bruce, their great-great-grandson, Anthony Bruce. When I talked to Anthony Bruce, I realized that this is not in the past for the Bruce family, Han said. Me speaking, and this is why all of Adocs needs repair from the government who's choosing to protect the Asians and recently gave them $80.5 million for AAPI. That's Asian American Pacific Islanders for their research on anti-Asian bias and the sorts and the like. I did that show already. I'm just trying to make a point that you're giving funding to the AAPI while still a no on reparations, and we're not doing anything specifically for you, Adocs, while Adocs delivered them the White House. Back to the text, quote, they have agonized about this their entire lives. He said there were some years where they could talk about it, some years where they couldn't talk about it. He told me his own father was so angry at the world about it that he could barely reconcile anything. So it was a deep scar in their family history. I just want justice for my family, Bruce told the LA Times, which ran an in-depth story this week regarding the past, present, and future of Bruce's Beach. I'm just looking for hope and mercy. Bruce told Han that his chief aim and whatever agreement could be reached with LA County is that it did not bring further discord to his family. He was not interested in doing anything that brought more grief to the family, Han said. Han understood. She's been around public policy long enough to understand that good intentions can still have unintended consequences. The idea was to first do no harm. Towards that end, the solution the county is moving towards is transferring the land to the Bruces in a way that does not immediately saddle the family with an enormous property tax bill. I definitely listened to Anthony Bruce on what he thought would benefit the family and not be a burden of the family, Hans said. So I think we're really going to land on transferring the property and then entering into a lease with the Bruce family. Okay, so the Bruces have spoken. The county will pay to continue to operate the lifeguard administration building for however long, but it's their property after that. They can do what they want. Look at God. Look at God. So for those of you who sit up here and ride me about reparations never happening, I'm grateful that you were not a part of the consciousness required for our emancipation. I'm grateful that you were not a part of the consciousness for our civil rights. Adocs, lean in. Do you understand me where I'm telling you it is because of us and the reparationist movement? The revolution is being social mediaized. That's why I show up every day. And thank you for your support of me showing up every day. I'm going to wave my banner. So those of you who would love to contribute to me advocating for Adocs and contribute to me educating the masses here in social media and abroad, I greatly appreciate your donations and your contributions. You can cash out me at $FOADOSTV. That's $FOADOSTV. There's also a PayPal link. This work is very critical, and it's your support, your financial support of me and my work that enables me to keep going on. So thank you for that. Let me finish the article because I'm only got about 25 minutes left. Okay, so towards that end, okay, let me jump. They can do it. Because the land was taken from the Bruces by legal means, any transfer of the land at present could constitute an illegal gift of public funds. But that aspect of the transaction could be made legal through state legislation. And Han said several lawmakers are prepared to make that happen. Woo-wee! I see you, Adocs. This is our work. Lean in. Don't give in. Don't give up. Don't give Don't listen to these negative Nancys and Neds tell you that reparations ain't possible. I'm telling you to lean all the way in. This is a prime example of what's going on because of the coalition of a just and equal California, formerly Adocs, California, putting the pressure on every place to bring those reparations to California. So it is our goal as a reparations movement to get you reparations on the local, state, and federal levels. That's what we own. That's our square. And it took legislation to tether us to the bottom as the anchor of this country's capitalism. They didn't have to call us niggas no more. They just legislated it and killed and stole it all. Right now, white folks are worth over $100 trillion. Household dollars is what they share. To Adocs, less than $700 billion since COVID. We may have $3 trillion, but only 3 trillion, 2.3 trillion is shared by 10% of black folks in this country, predominantly black immigrants. When our ancestors, heinous chattel slave labor, built all the wealth they eat from. We are the legs of that table. Steve Bradford, Al Muratsuchi, Ben Allen, they are all on it, Hans said. They are going to introduce legislation, I think, next week. This was in April this year. It's not going to solve all the problems. It's not going to right all the wrongs, even for the Bruce family. But I think everybody wants in some small way to be a part of bringing justice to the Bruce family 100 years later. Woo-wee. The ancestors have fired me up. The ancestors, the God in me animates this body. I'm on fire. I'm on fire, and as are you who are watching. Thank you for watching. Thank you for caring. Thank you, Adocs and allies alike, for supporting the show. Every time I get tired, I get an email or a text or a call. Oh, y'all don't know you're the wind beneath my wings because this stuff is heavy duty. But I think about the ancestors and I think about Adocs and I say I feel like going on. This is a second and third job, y'all. You don't even understand. Let's keep moving. This legislation effort will give the county flexibility as it seeks to rectify wrongs from the past, said Allen. The Wayne Yellow Feather Shepherd, relative of the Bruces, who is a chief of the Pocasset Wampanoag tribe of the Pokanoket Nation, has also served as a spokesperson for the family. He applauded Hahn's efforts and said the family is weighing his options as it awaits the outcome of the county and state process. And then we'll weigh in as a family whether under these circumstances we want to even be a part of Manhattan Beach at this point, Shepard said. Shepard said the family had taken note of the KKK flyers that were handed out in Newport Beach last weekend, a reminder that the bigotry that forced the Bruces from Manhattan Beach a century ago has not disappeared. Did you hear me? KKK flyers handed out in Newport Beach last weekend. Let's talk about the median price. Let's talk about the median home price in Newport Beach. With the KKK passing out flyers. Oh, give us cash so we can leave this racist country if that's what we choose. I don't need you to give me more programs like affirmative action where it benefits white women, immigrants, and LGBTQIA third. Run me my check. Hold on, family. We're going to figure this out right now. Oh, yeah. The KKK is. The KKK. Home values in Newport Beach, California. Median listing is 2.7 million. The KKK is passing out flyers. Come on. Come on. Let's get it. Let's go. Yeah. Yeah. The KKK, who Biden has not deemed a domestic terrorist group. The FBI has not deemed a domestic terrorist group. They passed out flyers in 2021 over in Newport Beach, where the homes are median value 2.7 million. I don't know if the family wants to put themselves into that type of environment a second time, Shepard said. We are hopeful, we are planning, and we are discussing, and we're waiting for something beautiful to happen for the restitution. Han has thought often of her father as she has navigated this issue. She said that part of what was eye-opening when she made the civil rights pilgrimage with John Lewis was the realization that her father took real risk when he met with Dr. King. At that point, most white politicians did not want to be seen with King, who was a controversial figure. That's what Adocs reparationist movement is doing, family. We are the civil rights movement of today. This is the second wave. You are on the right side of history. Know it, embrace it, and say it loud. I'm Adocs proud. Do you hear me? So, the work of Dr. King got the Bruce's restitution in 100 years. Our work will get our children and our grandchildren the restitution in the form of cash repair. That's what our work is planting the seed for right now. We are pushing it down to the touchdown. Do you hear me? We're on the 10-yard line. This is ours to do. If it's going to get done, it's on us to move as a block. This is rich. I'm just going to languish with this one till my time is out. I got to finish reading it. Okay. Neither the mayor of LA nor any of the council met with King, nor did any state elected officials. Only Kenneth Hahn. He's got a gorgeous park named after him out here. One of my hiking trails. With my church family members and friends. This is beautiful. Now I understand Mr. Kenneth Hahn and his importance to our history. This is rich. No one else even wanted to be seen with Dr. King, Hahn said. My dad was so honored to meet Dr. King when he came. And he spent 2 hours with him. Put him in his car, drove him around, took him to his office and had a cup of coffee with him. I mean, they really bonded. And look at Mrs. Hahn. This is what we do for our children, family, when we teach them how to advocate for their own. Kenneth Hahn did this in his daughter. And she's in a position to give the Bruce's restitution. You're living it in vain, family. Your work in this movement is not in vain. That's the confirmation I needed, Joel, from the Most High. Oh my God, it's not in vain. It's not in vain. Rip Mr. Floyd, rest in paradise. And so the skepticism Hahn had faced as she has tried to do right by the Bruce family has left her largely unfazed. Yeah, sis, that's an abolitionist right there. The civil rights movement, Hahn said, is not only a matter of history, but rather is ongoing and occurs one small step at a time. When it comes to reparations, the question is often asked, where does it stop? That is, if the Bruce's land is returned to the family, then perhaps Native Americans and other groups on the losing end of history have even broader claims. But Hahn reverses the question. Where does it start? She said, someone was interviewing me and they said, are you afraid to start a precedent? And I said, I hope it does. The question of apology. The Manhattan Beach City Council at its April 6th meeting will wrestle with another question, whether or not to issue an official apology to the Bruce family for what occurred a century ago. Me speaking. On August 29, 2008, Barack Obama hid an apology to Adocs. I got to pull up where that was because I can't think of that number off the top of my head. Or, child, it's so much crammed up in this dome. But I remember the date, August 29th. Let's look it up real quick, family. Apology. Obama. 8. Apology for slavery. Obama. 8/29. 2008. Ain't it crazy? I can remember when, but I can't remember what. Senate apology for slavery gets mixed reaction. This was June 24, 2009. The Senate recently passed a resolution apologizing for more than 2 centuries of slavery in the U.S. and for the years of racial segregation that followed. It ain't no apology without restitution, Mr. No to our reparations, Barack Obama. This is how they hide it, family. They hid this from us. The non-binding resolution is seen as a symbolic gesture, which now heads the House of Representatives for voting. Katrina Brown is producer of the documentary film Traces of the Trade, a story from the Deep North, which traces Brown's New England ancestors to the country's largest slave trading family. Daniel Smith is a former civil rights worker and son of a former slave. The two talk about their direct ties to slavery and explain why they have mixed feelings about the recent apology. Okay, so it's resolution number 26. S period. Okay, let me just put it in here so y'all can read it. Hold on, y'all. Let me back up. Okay, we don't really have time to go into this one, but we're going to get right into this one on mañana. Okay, I'm going to keep this open so we can dig into this on tomorrow's episode of As the World of Adocs Turns, your midday wake-up call. Right now, back to the text. I'm going to finish this article. But know that there was an apology, and it means nothing without cash repair. Know that they hid it. They didn't make much ado about it, and I'm sure that article is going to unpack all that. I got so many more books I've got to purchase now for the Miseducation of Adocs in America with 3K's book club series. Oh, my God. God, I need 48 and 24. Can you do it? I already take cat naps, y'all. The council, like the community, appears split on the issue. Council members Steve Napolitano and Hildy Stern, who co-chaired the Bruce Beach Task Force, have publicly called for an apology. The task force itself, a 13-member body appointed by the council, has already prepared a draft resolution of apology. Councilperson Joe Franklin and Mayor Suzanne Hatley, representing constituents who have argued that an apology suggests not only a racist past, but a racist present in Manhattan Beach, have argued against it. We do not want to ignore the past, but we do not want it embroidered in a scarlet R upon our chest, Hatley said at the council's March 23rd meeting. Why not? Why not? The A for anchor of America's capitalism has been branded up, embroidered in scarlet A on our chest. I'm just saying. The LA Times editorial board weighed in on the matter this week. The question of reparations, the Times wrote, is a thorny issue that raises larger questions for society about how to redress the wrongs of history. But the difficulty of such questions is no reason to slow justice in this case. in which the injustice occurred in living memory, and close descendants continue to claim their family's legacy, the Times wrote. Should it be the county that repays the bruises, or the state, or Manhattan Beach? All worthy questions, but let's begin with the apology. Shepard said he was perplexed by the city council's apparent hesitance because they know that once they apologize, they've got to cut the check. And that's why the government, Barack Obama, hid this apology from us, because there was no cash repair. Because he is a no to cash repair, as he sits up since 2020 is now worth $70 million. The $70 million black man, not Adocs, says no to our reparations, but gave an apology that they hid from us. It's what made public to me. That reluctance to issue an apology is really sad for them, because you're in the crosshairs of every media outlet in the world, Shepard said. Now everybody's looking at Manhattan Beach because of this, and they keep falling over themselves trying to change that racist image that they have. You know, like how many Adocs, how many sheeple are trying to act as if Biden is a reform racist. You know how they do that, the Jedi mind trick. You know how they do it. They don't want to apologize because they don't want to pay. And when they apologize, they hide it. Barack Obama, who's a no to reparations. Every time they do something like this, they don't realize that they are damned if they do, damned if they don't. I just don't understand what the reluctance is to giving an apology. I already told you. Even though the Bruce family has not asked for one, and I just feel for the other people in their community who are not of the conservative and racist factions that are making these public statements in the newspapers. I would think that Manhattan Beach would want to change this image. This is white inferiority. They killed and stole and legislated us out of what was rightfully due us. Let me remind you, with the time I have left, what you are owed and what it doesn't include. Let me remind you, this is a reparationist perspective. Everything I do makes the case. We are owed $104 trillion on the low end, with a median $50 trillion for slavery. As some researchers say, we're owed $24 trillion, and others say we're owed $93 trillion. Plus $735 billion recurring. This number doesn't include the cost of about 50 Black Wall Streets that were decimated, nor medical apartheid, nor Freedmen's Bureau Bank, nor the theft of our intellectual property, nor the decimation of our Black churches over the Black vote, nor compound interest from 2017 when the Black tax was published by Sean D. Rochester, who did the math, and I added it up for the $104 trillion, nor the cost of Black life, rest in paradise, Mr. Floyd, and the rest of our angels executed by government sanction, nor the cost of living increases, nor the war on drugs, nor the pandemic, nor the theft of land. The number I'm working for is for slavery, Jim Crow, and accrued ongoing systemic racism, oppression, and disadvantage in the country our ancestors built with their lives. So the number is not done being tallied. I'm going to go over tomorrow how there are a consortium of mayors who believe we're owed 6.2 quadrillion. That's 151 million per Adocs. Don't you think you need to get in the fight if you aren't already? Help us to fix HR 40. Let me put that in the notes. Okay. Sheila Jackson Lee and the lamestream people that are working on our repair on a federal level want a cashless reparations. I need your help. This is when you get to be in the movement. All hands on deck. Fix HR 40. We have all the scripts over there, family. All the people you need to contact and lean in on daily. You know, just like the bus boycotts and the like. It had to be done daily before it finally came to fruition. So, yeah, we need your help on that. FixHR40.com. I put it in the chat. Okay. Back to the article so I can pray us out. I'm at 12:56. And I'm almost finished, guys. Hang in. I'm going to have to pick up on the rest of these stories tomorrow. I'm sorry, Monday. No, I may come on tomorrow. We'll see how I feel. Oh, God. I wanted this to be Monday through Friday, but this is so rich. I don't know if I can wait till Monday. Okay, so back to the text. Anthony Bruce called in via Zoom the night of the March 23rd council meeting. Bruce, who lives in Tampa Bay, Florida, expressed full support for the Bruce's Beach Task Force and love for the residents of Manhattan Beach. He read from biblical scripture. I've already forgiven the Manhattan Beach City Council, the KKK, as well as all parties involved in the breaking of the law and committing hate crimes against my family, the Bruces. He said. Bruce concluded that his comments by praying for peace and mercy on behalf of everyone involved in the matter of Bruce's Beach. Okay, let me go back. I don't know. I got to make sure I said that right about the KKK. Shepard said the family had taken note of the KKK flyers that were handed out in Newport Beach last weekend. A reminder that the bigotry that forced the Bruces from Manhattan Beach a century ago has not disappeared. Okay, so yeah, this is still going on, family. And this government has yet to give us an anti-lynch law. They have yet to label the KKK, the skinheads, and the neo-Nazis a domestic terrorist group, which is exactly what they are. Let me see what you guys have to say about it. Thank you for joining the live. Okay, Trey Lincoln, what's up? Dr. Brian. Brian says, video cut out. Thank you, I'm back. Adocs, American Descendants of Slavery. Love, love, love to you. Black love, melanated integrity. I love you, black and strong. Brian says, speaking on Bruce's Beach, this is not surprising. Everything we've ever had, white supremacy always swooped in to either take it away or water it down. Absolutely, you're right. At 400 years org, thank you for joining the live. Adocs midday briefing from Angela Nirvana. You better know it. Thank you so much for joining the live. Adocs Truth, stay home, stay home, stay home. We see you, Adocs. Adocs Children, good vibes. Brian says, the bootstraps narrative is beyond a farce, especially when you dig deep into those that beat us over the head with this gospel. It is just so exhausting, but this is why the reparationist perspective was birthed through me. God has given me about 10 series, so you'll be seeing a lot of me Monday through Friday. I'm trying to get the show Monday through Friday so I can rest on Saturday and Sunday and go hiking and decompress from it all. That's the goal, but there's so much to teach and so much to do where this topic is concerned. Greetings all, and thanks for stopping in. Wash hands, elbow, cough. Thank you, Media Engagement Solutions, for joining the live. Dr. Brar, one of my favorite church family members. Love the information. Thank you, Dr. Brar, for joining. It's such a pleasure to see you over here. They need to give them back the beach and pay them for the time in theft. I like that, Brian. Thank you. Erie Blackfire, B1. Yes, welcome, B1. FBA, Adocs, Grassroots, all of you. And also welcome my allies. Thank you for joining the live. Erie Blackfire, it will happen. I will get mine legitimately, or that's right, Erie Blackfire. Jennifer Meadows, B1. Thank you, family. I love to see y'all. I love to see us coming together under the reparationist movement. We need all hands on deck. All grassroots, all allies. Thank you so much. Erie Blackfire, thank you. Brian Johnson, I think most Adocs just want to get their check and be left the hell alone. No kumbaya is needed. Well, absolutely. We need cash repair, and that's why I need your help. B1, FBA, Be the Power, the Reparationist Collective, NAASD, CJEC. I need your help on Fix HR 40. All hands on deck. Brian says, okay, yeah, we want our cash. We don't need them giving us things like affirmative action, which benefited us only for a small window. And now we got the most student loan debt and can't get gainful employment because everybody qualifies. That was meant for us exclusively. That's why you got to put a gate up around your identity, your ethnicity. This is why you have to unflatten it so folks can see you and understand that the reparations, the cash repair, is for those of us that descend from the heinous chattel slavery that built the country and all the wealth white folks and immigrants eat from. We are on the bottom. All hands on deck. We are at George Floyd, 9 minutes and 29 seconds to the neck. Back to the text. On Senate apology, Brian says, it's like shooting someone and telling the victim sorry, but giving no medical aid. You're absolutely right. All right, family, enjoy those weekend hikes. I'm sure Southern California has some great trails. You would not believe the beauty of Southern California that less than 5% of us benefit from now, from 16%. They have legislated us out of here. Mostly immigrants, mostly Hispanics, now Asians, and white folks, all of which, identify as white. They benefit from California. I'm blessed and highly favored. God has richly blessed me, and to whom much is given, much is required. I get to work out on the beach 20 minutes from my home that I own. God is an awesome God, because I've had no sponsors, but the God that rested in me on the seventh day and said I was the best of all creation, in the same way God has told you. That's all we've ever had. So for folks who sit up here and think we're going to get reparations without connecting with that inner Christ, without using our third eye, you're sadly mistaken. That's how all the ancestors got emancipation. That's how they got civil rights. They prayed, they meditated, and they got to work. Okay? We can't just assume a lotus position. You got to pray and move your feet. That's what I do over here at the Reparations Perspective. You hear me? And so, yeah, the California is extraordinarily beautiful. And the trails are extraordinary. If you ever get an opportunity to visit, look up all trails. And pick easy trails, but your mind will be blown. You feel the presence of God out there, and the people, you connect one unto the other. Each other's Christ is animated and electrified in the beauty of the nature God has created out here in these trails. The people are amazing. Amazing. From all walks of life. The God that rested in me communes with the God that rested in them and all of nature that surrounds us. It's rich. So please, when you're able to come out here and visit, you must get the trails in, some hiking in. It's going to blow your mind. And with that said, family, I hope to see you back at 6 o'clock p.m. with my anti-Black racism show. I'm going over the highlights of the Chauvin trial, day 10, with some extras in the way I see it. Okay? Going to talk about Biden wanting to give the police $300 million more to execute us by government sanction in our communities. I'll see you at 6 o'clock Pacific Standard Time. I'll pray a prayer of protection for those of you who can't return. That the light of God surrounds us, the love of God enfolds us, the power of God protects us, and the presence of God watches over us wherever Adocs and its allies are. God truly is, because family, you are the face of God. You are the voice of God. You are the body temple of the Spirit of the living God. I love you, Black. I love you, strong. Until 6 o'clock, family, you make it a beautiful, God-inspired rest of your afternoon. Peace.